Welcome back to the deep dive. So, you've been working with the tools, you've got the strategy canvas down, but we keep hearing the same thing back from you. The number one question is always, okay, but where do I even start looking for a blue ocean?
It's the fundamental problem, isn't it? We call it search risk. Most companies, and I mean big or small, they get this intense tunnel vision.
Right. They're just looking side to side at their direct competitors. Coke looks at Pepsi, Ford looks at Toyota.
And in doing that, they completely miss these massive opportunities that are sitting just outside their direct line of sight. It's like they have blinders on.
So that's our mission today. We want to give you a practical roadmap, a way to take those blinders off. We're going deep into the 6 paths framework.
Think of it as a set of 6 different lenses you can use to systematically hunt for untapped market space. And to make it really stick, we're not using abstract, faraway examples.
No, we're grounding this in the stories of some truly iconic Indian companies. We're talking IndiGo, Asian Paints, Geo.
We'll show you exactly how they use these paths to completely reconstruct the boundaries of their markets.
Okay, let's jump in. Path 1. This is the big one to start with. Look across alternative industries.
Right. And first, we have to clear up a common point of confusion: the difference between substitutes and alternatives. They are not the same thing.
Okay, break that down for us. A substitute is what? One brand of water for another.
Exactly. Functionally, it's pretty much interchangeable. But an alternative,
Yeah.
that's a different beast entirely. It solves the same underlying problem, but in a completely different way.
Like if you want a nice evening out, you could go to the cinema or you could go to a great restaurant.
Perfect example. They're alternatives. Different form, different industry, but they both satisfy that same core need for a night out.
And this brings us straight to IndiGo Airlines.
It really does. Because when IndiGo started, of course they looked at Air India and Jet Airways. But if they'd stopped there, they would have been trapped.
Just another airline fighting over legroom and loyalty points. The red ocean.
Precisely. Their real breakthrough came when they looked at the alternative for the Indian middle class.
Which was not another airline. It was the train.
It was long-distance rail travel. You had these 2 clear choices. Flying was fast, but way too expensive for most. And the train was cheap, but notoriously slow and often unreliable.
A huge gap in the middle.
Huge gap. And IndiGo's Blue Ocean move was to bridge that gap. They set out to offer the speed of a plane, but at a price point that felt closer to an AC 2-tier train ticket.
But it wasn't just about being cheap, was it? Because that's a race to the bottom.
No, and this is the critical insight. They honed in on the biggest pain point for the train traveler. It wasn't the lack of a free meal.
It was the timing, the uncertainty. Will my train be 5 hours late? 10 hours late?
Exactly. So what did IndiGo do? They ruthlessly eliminated frills. No free food, no lounges, simple pricing, all to cut costs. But they dramatically raised one single factor:
On-time performance.
on-time performance. And the operational deep dive here is fascinating. The how is that they standardized their entire fleet. Just one type of aircraft.
Which means simpler maintenance, faster repairs, quicker turnaround on the tarmac.
Yes, that single decision reinforced their entire promise of reliability. They didn't just become a substitute for other airlines. They became a viable, reliable alternative to the train. They redrew the map.
So path 1 looks outside your industry. Path 2 turns the lens inward. It's
Okay.
across strategic groups.
Yeah, strategic groups are basically clusters of companies within an industry that compete on a similar basis.
Yeah.
Luxury car brands only compete with other luxury brands. Budget hotels only compete with other budget hotels.
And they rarely look at each other.
Almost never. The goal here is to find out why customers trade up or down between those groups and then build a bridge.
And the classic case study for this is Titan watches in the 1980s.
Oh, it's perfect. Back then, the Indian watch market had 2 very rigid groups. You had HMT functional, durable, dependable, pure utility.
The workhorse.
The workhorse.
Yeah.
And on the other extreme, you had these expensive, often smuggled Swiss watches. That was all about status and style.
And Titan saw that people didn't actually want to make that choice.
They didn't. They identified this huge group of non-consumers who, they wanted the reliability of an HMT, but they hated the boring, functional design.
They wanted style they could actually afford.
Exactly. So Titan did something brilliant. They combined new, low-cost quartz technology, which gave them the reliability, with these beautiful jewelry-inspired designs that you only saw on expensive imports.
So they weren't just a utility and they weren't just a status symbol. They created something new in the middle.
They created the entire mid-premium segment. But here's the key. They had to change what a watch meant.
How so?
They shifted the perception of the products from a time-telling device to a fashion accessory, a gift, jewelry on the wrist. It wasn't just about function anymore.
So they elevated the emotional appeal through design.
Yes, and by doing that, they made the old utility-only model look completely outdated. They didn't just join a group. They created a whole new one.
Which is a perfect segue to path 3. Look across the chain of buyers. This one is really interesting. It's for industries where the person paying isn't necessarily the person using the product.
Right, or where some third party, an influencer, holds all the power. And established companies, they tend to just focus all their energy on whoever they think is the most powerful link in that chain.
So the move is to challenge that assumption.
It's to find a neglected link in that chain and refocus your entire strategy on them.
This is where Asian Paints comes in, and their story is just incredible. For decades, paint was just a commodity, a boring industrial product.
And who held all the power in that transaction?
Contractor.
The painter.
The contractor, exactly. The homeowner would maybe pick a color, but the contractor was the expert. He'd recommend the brand, buy the paint, do the work. The paint companies all marketed to him.
But Asian Paints completely flipped that on its head. They did. They shifted their focus from the influencer, the contractor, to the end user, the family, the homeowner.
They realized the decision was actually an emotional one. This is my home, my space.
Yes. And their strategy became about empowerment and education. They launched color worlds and helplines. They started teaching families about shades, textures, moods, what a color could do to a room.
Okay, but I have to ask, wouldn't that annoy the contractors? I mean, you're essentially going over their heads. Weren't they worried about a backlash?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's a huge strategic risk. But here's how they managed it. They didn't cut the contractor out. They just changed who was driving the demand.
So the family would fall in love with a specific Asian paint's color or finish.
And they would get so emotionally invested in that outcome, that perfect royale wall, that they'd tell their contractor, this is the paint I want.
They created pull-through. The contractor was basically forced to buy Asian paints to keep the customer happy.
The power shifted from the trade to the consumer. They turned a commodity purchase into an aspirational, family-driven choice. It's just a textbook move.
Incredible. Okay, on to path 4. Look across complementary product and service offerings.
This one is about looking at what happens before, during, and after your product is used. We rarely use a product in a vacuum, right? There's always a whole ecosystem of other things around it.
And there are often hidden pain points in that ecosystem that your industry just completely ignores.
Exactly. Like the pain of going to the movies isn't the movie itself. It might be finding parking or getting a babysitter.
And a really amazing modern example of this is the Saragama Carvan.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, think about it. We live in the age of Spotify, Apple Music, unlimited choice on demand, and yet this bulky, retro-looking radio preloaded with old songs becomes a runaway success. Why?
Because they weren't competing with Spotify. They were solving the hassle that comes with Spotify for a certain generation.
The complementary pain point. For their target market older consumers, the problem wasn't a lack of music. It was tech literacy.
Right. Pairing a Bluetooth speaker, remembering a password, finding the right app, having good Wi-Fi, it's a nightmare for a lot of people.
All of that friction exists before you even hear a single note of music.
Yeah.
And Carvan just erased all of it.
No internet, no pairing, no searching, just a button.
It was a total solution. Hardware plus pre-curated content plus ultimate simplicity. They created a massive blue ocean by focusing on the non-consumers who were completely locked out by the complexity of modern tech.
It's so counterintuitive, which is what makes it so smart. Okay, let's switch gears to path 5. Look across functional versus emotional appeal.
So most industries tend to compete on one or the other. It's either all about utility and logic, price, speed, function, or it's all about feeling and emotion.
And the strategic move here is to just flip it.
Just flip it. If your industry is all functional, inject emotion. If it's all emotional, strip it back and add some hard utility.
And for this, we have to talk about the rise of Cafe Coffee Day, CCD.
Yes. Before CCD, especially in South India, what was coffee? It was purely functional.
It was a quick filter coffee. You drank it standing up at a darshini, in and out in 5 minutes. It was a caffeine delivery system.
That's all it was. The focus was 100% on the product. And CCD saw that and said, we can change the entire appeal. They shifted from function to emotion.
They sold the space, not just the coffee.
Exactly. They didn't just sell a beverage. They sold a safe, clean, air-conditioned place to hang out, a third space that wasn't home or work.
And that slogan, a lot can happen over coffee, that said everything.
It did. They invested in comfy chairs, AC, Wi-Fi. The coffee was almost beside the point. It was about the experience of sitting, talking, lingering.
So they redefined coffee from a drink into a social activity.
And in doing so, they unlocked this gigantic market of young people who were desperate for an affordable, comfortable place to socialize. A need the old functional coffee stalls were totally ignoring. They made a commodity into a social hub.
Okay, that brings us to our final path. Path 6. Look across time.
This one feels a bit like fortune telling, but it's not. It's not about guessing the distant future. It's about identifying a decisive, irreversible trend that is happening right now.
And then betting the farm on where that trend is inevitably going.
And the mistake most companies make is they see the trend, but they're too afraid to let go of their old business model. They try to protect their legacy revenue.
And there is no bigger or better example of this in modern India than Reliance Jio.
Absolutely not. Think back to 2016. The entire Indian telecom industry was stuck in this brutal red ocean war.
It was all about voice calls. How many pays per minute?
They were fighting tooth and nail over voice tariffs.
Yeah.
That was their main source of revenue, and they were desperately trying to protect it.
But the writing was on the wall.
It was glaringly obvious. The decisive trend was data. People were starting to stream video, use apps. The future was data consumption, not voice minutes.
So while everyone else was fighting over the past, Jio looked at the future.
And they made one of the most audacious strategic moves I've ever seen. They built an all-IP network designed purely for data, and then they made voice calls completely free.
Wow. Which instantly made the competition's main product worthless.
It rendered their entire revenue model obsolete overnight. Jio bet everything on the data trend. They built an ecosystem of apps and content, knowing that's where the value would be.
They chose to make zero revenue from the past in order to own the future.
That's a powerful way to put it. They saw where the puck was going, to use a famous phrase,
Hmm.
and they got there first by completely reconstructing the industry around that single trend.
So there you have it. For you, the listener, these 6 paths, they're your compass.
Stop staring at the walls of your own industry. That's the definition of a red ocean. The opportunities are right there, just across the border.
Whether it's looking at an alternative like IndiGo did with trains, or shifting the buyer chain like Asian Paints, or riding a massive trend like Jio, the paths are there if you know how to look.
You now have the framework. You know where to look to escape that search risk and tunnel vision.
But that leads to the next big question. Once you've found that incredible blue ocean opportunity, what do you do? How do you actually get your team, your whole company, to see it and get on board?
Yes, that is the essential next step. How do you communicate this huge, complex shift without drowning everyone in a 100-page report filled with spreadsheets?
Exactly. You can't just show them the numbers. You need to show them the vision. You need a visual map.
Which is exactly what we're tackling next time. We're going to dive into how to visualize your new strategy. It's all about focusing on the big picture, not just the numbers, to create alignment and get real momentum behind your blue ocean shift.
Until then, take a look at your own business. Start mapping out these 6 paths. You might be surprised what you find.